Hello. Can't hear you, buddy.
Crap. Now can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh my God, I just did a great intro. I was saying hello to everybody. Tamara Collins, I said hello to her. Jesse, thank you for joining us. Alfredo, thank you for telling me there's no audio. I do that. I told you this before, Alfredo. I do that so I can train my audience in the art of lip reading. That is extremely important to learn, especially if you're a man, because, the things that come out of a woman's mouth, you only hear about 5% of it. You need to read their lips for the real communication. Anyhow, what's going on, Lynn? How are you doing?
I thought you were training them to comment so there'd be comments on the video.
Well, that too. That I guess that would work. I guess, yeah. At least I'd have a bunch of comments saying, "Hey, we can't hear you, you dumbass. Turn your damn mic on." But whatever.
Awesome. Doing awesome. I am so excited because we're on it's a brand new week. Mondays rock. I love Mondays. And we're on a new topic. So we just finished like almost 3 weeks, I think, of the six human
Mm-hmm.
needs. And if you don't know what we're talking about, go to our website, gritandgracetv.com, and click on show resources, and you'll see six human needs, a blog post, and it has the six human needs test that you can take on there. So, and then you can also see right on the homepage all the episodes of us going through it. But I'm excited for this.
So am I. I'm really excited for this because we're moving into something that is really one of my favorite topics of all time. And I am not even kidding here. This when you were talking about this last night, I was like, okay, this is something that really means a lot to me. But at the same time, I don't know exactly how we're going to do this. And then but then last night I was kind of tired. I really wasn't processing right. I had done so much live streaming and coaching yesterday. I was just shot. And then
Yeah, you
today,
were.
I was sitting there. I was driving to Kadoka, which is about 100 miles away, and I started thinking. My brain started kind of recombobulating the discombobulation that was going on last night. And I was like, I cannot believe we're gonna cover this. This is pretty awesome. I can't wait to get into this. And if you don't know what we're talking about, we're gonna make a decision right here to get started.
Yes, excellent. This is something I see people struggle with all the time. And for me, it's primarily in podcasting because that's, well, for you, that's primarily a lot of what we do is podcasting, broadcasting, live streaming. And you see a lot of people struggle with, should I have a podcast? What should I do with it? I'm thinking I want to do this. I don't know if I should do that. People struggle with decisions. And I was thinking about this. I think that, as children, when we grow up, and we talk about things with our parents and in our families and things that we want to do, we get our parents saying, well, if you do that, this is going to happen. And uh, it it kind of I think it ingrains that, God, if you make a decision, that's it. There's no going back. There's no changing it. Like, you better make the right one or your life is screwed. And I think that's why, or one of the reasons why people struggle so much. What was that?
That was my tag on my underwear. I don't know. It's something that just decided to get in frame.
Ah, so I think that's why people struggle with decision making. It's, you grow up and you have that influence, from your parents primarily of, if you make this decision, this is going to happen. And decision, and then you'll see people put it out there asking other people, which is nothing wrong with that. We all do that. But we put a lot of stock into what other people say when we're trying to make important decisions. And people are basing that on their own experiences, their own perception, their own results, all of these things. And it's great to get some ideas to help kick around. But I think that's where it comes from, that people have a hard time making a decision because they have that feeling that if once they make it, that's it. It's set in stone. There's no going back. And if it's, God forbid, it's the wrong decision, your life is over.
We in the military we had this thing called the military decision making process. And when we're done with this, I'm actually going to post an example of this process. It is extremely complex and complicated. The fact that people in the military can make a decision at all, it's pretty surprising. However, some of the times they make some of the most difficult decisions in the world. But you're absolutely right when you're talking about people wanting to basically get affirmation whether or not their decision is the right decision to make. And I think a lot of times if we wait on that affirmation from our friends or our family, a lot of times they'll talk us out of doing something like that, especially when it comes to something as important as maybe starting your own business, or even something as small as starting a podcast. It's you never
people get paralyzed.
They do. They really do. And it's almost to the point even where it's almost a personality trait in a lot of people. They like you were saying, it's just ingrained in them from the time they were children. They never were able to make their own decisions. Either mom or dad or somebody was always making the decisions for them. I've even seen cases where the older sibling made all the decisions for the younger siblings. So when they get into adulthood, the younger siblings still have trouble with problem solving. They still have trouble making decisions, making their mind up on something. And it's sometimes one of part of my coaching back when I was still coaching, it was helping people create solutions for problems. And what it really came down to is they couldn't make the decision to just do it. It really boiled down. It's like, well, I can't figure this out. I don't know why I can't, meet people, or I don't know why I can't get a better job. It's like, well, you need to make a decision. Yeah. And that decision is, first decision you got to make is the decision to stop asking for people's opinions. Just figure it out and do it.
Yeah. Yeah, because they're basing it on their own experience. You can't do that. And not making a decision is making a decision. But the thing too is, you see a lot out there, these quotes, which are really great. You see on social media, follow your gut, follow your heart. But not everybody operates that way. Some people are much more analytical. And so that's sort of what we want to help with tonight. We've got 5 questions. So if you don't have pen and paper, quick, run and get some so you can write down these 5 questions.
Oh, come on. Share. You know you're going to put it on the resources page.
Oh, I will. But if people want to do this tonight, maybe they've got a lingering question that they're struggling with. Yeah. And if you could hit share, because we all know people that struggle with making decisions. So if you could hit the share button and let them know, we're going to share 5 questions that can help you make tough decisions for yourself, not what other people think you should do and other people's things that didn't work out for them, and they're going to put that on you. People struggle with, do I quit that job? Do I start this business? Should I move here? What should I do? You got to figure that out for yourself. You absolutely have to, because at the end of the day, you're the one that's got to live with that decision. And God, it's your life. So so let's get going. Let's get going on these questions. All right.
So the first question that we can ask ourselves, if we're really struggling to make a decision, the first question we need to ask ourselves is, will this help me grow? Will this give me the opportunity to be better today than I was before I made that decision yesterday? And this is huge, especially for you and I. We just finished doing the 6 Human Needs series, and growth was a big part of that. It's a big human need. And thank you very much, Alfredo. Appreciate you putting that in the comments. but yeah, will this help me grow? And if growth is one of your priority human needs, this is an extremely important question to ask yourself. But even if it's not one of the top two of human needs, it's still one of the human needs that we have to have met each and every day. So, will this help me grow? Is to be able to answer that is really the first step. It's you taking that first step on that 100-mile journey.
Yeah. Is it something you've always wanted to learn? Is it something that you wanted to experience? And if the question is yes, you can always dig a little bit deeper. How will it help me grow? What is it that I've been wanting that maybe I'm missing that will make the difference? Because sometimes, one thing can make a huge difference. One little thing. And if this one little thing can then ripple out to other things, yeah. So, and I
I don't
think
know if you
if
just
what?
I was gonna say I don't know if you just heard that, but I was trying to start my lawnmower apparently. It's like the buzzing. Never mind. Sorry,
Oh,
you might not have
I
heard
didn't
it.
hear a thing.
Oh,
I
great,
didn't hear a
awesome.
thing. We can hear things others can't. We're talented
That's
that
right.
way. Okay, question two.
Do I want the memory? Well,
That's huge.
I remember when my grandfather passed away, and you might not think that this relates, but it really does. Because my uncle, after the funeral, we were all sitting around. We were actually partying a little bit. I don't mean party like in woo party, but we
Yeah.
had a get together, and we were having a few beers and stuff like that. And my uncle sat down next to me. He goes, "You know what we're doing here?" I said, "What's that?" He goes, "We're creating memories." And that's one of those that's one of those things that every experience that we do, we create memories. Whether you want the memory or not, you're still creating a memory. And when you're asking yourself in the decision making process, do I want this memory? It's really one of those things. Is this going to be something that I look back on and embrace and enjoy for years to come and tell people about as I get older, and I'm telling the next generation below me about this time I made this decision that changed my life. So is this a memory you're going to want?
Yeah. And I think this question becomes even more important as we get older. I know it does for me.
Oh,
As I get
absolutely.
older, those are the things because I guess maybe because we've gathered more memories. The best times are when we sit and think back of something that we experienced, or we sit around with friends and remember that time and we kill ourselves laughing. And I mean, those are the best things ever. I mean, those are things that no one can ever take away. And they're moments that we can relive over and over and over. So I think that this is a huge thing. I mean, again, depending on what's really important to you, but I think that everybody can agree that your memories are the best. When you think back to certain times, I remember my 25th birthday. It was a surprise. It was a party outside on some piece of land. Um, we all dropped acid. We were up all night. It was freaking great. Like, those are things
Wow.
that you remember.
Transparency, authenticity.
I'm
Who would have
going
thought?
I'm gonna be honest. It was a great friggin' night. I mean, that I'll remember my 25th birthday. I remember certain things. I remember my 40th birthday because I went to a live awards show that happened to be on the west coast of Canada. It was equal to your Grammys, but it was our Juno Awards. But there's a lot of huge stars there, and you remember those things, and that's the evidence of your life. So, again, if you're trying to make a decision, do I want the memory? Do you want the memory of going on that trip? Like, is the, are you going to think when you look back, well, shit, I spent 5 grand on that trip? No, the memory is going to be, wow, what a great trip that was. Like I will
Yeah,
remember that
yeah.
forever, right? So
You know,
anyway.
one of the things a lot of people like myself, let's say veterans, for example, uh, every one of us made the decision at some point in our lives to join the military, and that's a huge, huge decision. You don't just wind up one day. Okay, so let me rephrase it. I guess a few of you may have gotten a little bit intoxicated, found yourself at a recruiting station and signed up before you really knew what you're doing. But for, I would say, 99% of us, we made a decision to join the military, whatever branch, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines. You're all my brothers and sisters. I don't hold grudges against anybody. But when we look back at the experience that we had, now I spent 17 years in the Army, and the memory that I cherish the most, even though it was the hardest time of my life, was basic training. So when you go to any veterans of VFW, or you're amongst your other veteran friends, so for some reason everybody shares different memories when it comes to basic training, but you all share it with each other because that
Yeah.
was a time in your life when it was still, that decision was still fresh in your mind, and that experience is one of those things that is burned into your memory.
No
I
doubt.
know for I know for myself, it was the best experience of my life. It did so much for me, and so yeah. When I think about that, do I want the memory? I would choose that. I would make that decision 100 times over.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, for sure. The memories are huge. So if you're just joining us, we're going through 5 questions to help you make tough decisions. The first one was, will this help me grow? And the second one we just talked about was, do I want the memory?
And I want to
Question
also
3.
say real
Oh,
quick, please, if you would share this out. And I want to say thank you very much to Rihan Alwala. Thank you, my friend, for sharing this video. And that's it's it's huge. It's huge. You may not need all the information that we share, but you might know somebody who absolutely does. So please do them a
mhm.
favor and share this with them.
Yeah. Drum roll. Number 3.
Number 3, how will this sculpt my character as a man, woman, or human being?
Yeah. 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 That's one you have to dig a little bit on.
That
You
is,
know?
I there's so many people out there who influence us on a daily basis, whether it be through social media, whether it be our local community, in person. There are so many people out there who really kind of tell us exactly how we should be or how we should show up and things like that. And when you're trying to make a decision about something, especially as something as important as maybe a career change, for example,
Yeah.
you'll get all this advice about, well, make sure you go in there and you act this way because that's the way they're going to be, or maybe you should sell this way because this is the way it works for me. And it kind of goes back to number one, where how will this help me grow? But this one here, okay. Let's use this as an example.
Okay.
When I started working in sales, for example,
Yeah.
I have a hard time telling people the things that they need to see, need to hear, just so they will buy something from me.
Yeah.
I'm that person that I want to be completely transparent. I want to be able to tell them everything about what it is that I'm selling. That way they can make an informed decision and decide whether or not it's for them or not. A lot of times I lost a sale because I wasn't pushy enough, or I didn't put them in a position where they had only one decision to make, and that was to buy from me. And because of that, I actually was promoted out of my sales position into a service position. Now, was that a bad thing? Well, no, absolutely not. That wasn't a bad thing because I learned that maybe sales wasn't my niche. Maybe that wasn't where I was going to excel at. But
Yeah.
at the same time, I couldn't I couldn't stomach the the character traits that I would witness from the other salespeople around me. They felt really pushy. They felt really just slimy, and
Yeah.
it really didn't feel like I belonged in that category. So
Yeah.
that's about the best example that I can give for this question. You know, how will this sculpt my character as a man, woman, or human being?
Yeah. I think there's a lot of times that we want to be a certain way, or there's something that we want to work on with ourselves. And and I think that's, that's where this question comes in. I think it was Maya Angelou that said courage was the most important. I can't think of the right word, but attribute, because without it, you can't practice any of, the others. And so I think that if there's something that you're working on that you want to improve as a human being, then this question really comes into play. Is it something that's going to help sculpt the person that you want to be, whether it's how you relate to others, how you deal with stress, how, all these things. But this is the one question that's like, you're going to have to sit and think about it a little bit. And I know in this society of, like, instant gratification, this might be one. But, and not to say either that all of these questions necessarily maybe need to be answered, but they're really good guideposts, because I see some people that are just like so clueless. And I do want to add to that, another thing that I see people get stuck on is because they want to know how they're going to do whatever it is they decide that they're going to do. And you got to forget the how. Like, you just have to forget the how. Like if anybody that's watching, if you've decided something and you didn't know how it was going to happen, but you decided you wanted to, and you just found a way, and you never imagined that it was going to come about that way to help you in what you had decided to do. But it has happened to me so many times over the years that how isn't even a thought. If I want something and I decide on something, I decide, what it is I want and why do I want it. The how just figures itself out. And I think that's the other thing that gets people so, like, screwed up is that as well. These things are not set in stone. Don't worry about how it's going to happen. Like, and it's just, yeah, it's just like, yeah.
We used to have this thing. I'm going to use the Army a lot for this, because the Army really taught me how to make decisions, and it's where I learned about that decision making process and how important it is to make a decision. So if you hear me hopping back into the whole Army thing, I'm sorry. If it doesn't, it applies to everybody, I promise you.
Yeah.
But we used to have this saying: taking action on an imperfect plan is more powerful than making a perfect plan and never acting.
Yes.
So it's better. It's always better to just create a plan, start your action, start your movement. Okay, I'm going through the whole MTO deal. But anyways, you create your plan, you start your movement, and then you adjust your plan. And that plays into our next question that you need to ask yourself: could I reverse or undo this decision?
Yeah.
And
That's where people they're afraid that they're going to make the wrong decision. You can change it. You can change it.
absolutely, because a decision, all you're doing is you're making a decision to start a plan. Plans change with more information that comes in. So as you get more information, you've already started your movement, you've already started your action. So as you get more information and you learn more and you grow more, you're able to change that plan and adapt that plan to the needs that need to be met in order to get to where you want to go. So
Yeah.
there is no decision that you could ever make that is really
Well, there
irreversible.
is. There's sort of,
Well,
there is
I we're talking.
some, but
We're not talking like getting pregnant and all that kind of stuff. I mean, we're not talking
yeah.
about, hey, I decided to jump out of an airplane without a
Yeah,
parachute type
yeah,
decisions.
not those kind of decisions.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking decisions that, and you got to remember the decisions that we're talking about are, they can be as simple as, do I go to the mall or do I go to Kmart? I don't know.
Yeah,
It's just, but
yeah, yeah.
it's,
It's true. You can change your mind, and I think people forget that. And I was like that for years too. Um, it, so I'll give you a story. Years and years ago, like oh, what was this? Probably like late 90s. So my previous career was for many years before I became a coach and got into online radio and podcasting. I was a legal assistant, and I had lived in another city. And so when I moved back here where I am now, like late 90s, I was doing some temp work. I was trying to get a full-time job in a law firm. And I was doing temporary work. Well, one day I get a phone call from a master of the Supreme Court at my home. So a master of the Supreme Court is like just below a Supreme Court judge. So what he does is he kind of takes some of the overflow and the less, usually things like family, like divorce and family, because that is Supreme Court, that is federal. So that's what a master of the Supreme Court does. And so I get a phone call from this master at my home. He heard about me and how good I was, and he needed a new secretary. And and I needed a job. But guess what I told him? I just accepted a new job. I'm really sorry. I can't. And hung up the phone. And I thought, that was the stupidest fucking thing. This is sort of like, this is sort of like, I've been a legal secretary. This is sort of like a major step up. I'm working in the courthouse for a master of the Supreme Court. Like, why did I? But there's like, the monkey mind, the gremlin saying, you are not good enough to do this. You're not smart enough to work for a master of the Supreme Court. So that was my response. So I was like, right away, I was like, that was dumbass. That was a dumbass decision that I made. So I got on the phone and I phoned the courthouse and I said, Master Horn phoned me. I need to get in touch with him. Like, can you find him for me? So, getting transferred here and transferred there. Finally, someone transferred me to his chambers and I got a hold of him and I said, Master Horn, this is Lynn Burnett calling you back. I was just talking to you. I turned down the other job. I would love to work for you. Like, I got the guts up to reverse that decision that I had made, because I thought, this is nuts. Why am I need a job for one, and another one, it was like, wow, this is a big step up. It's like a lawyer becoming a judge. I mean, it wasn't like that,
wow.
but you work in the law field for so long. So he was like, fantastic. And then I went to meet him. Oh my God, the nicest man ever, from South Africa. And he was just the nicest, smartest. I'm so glad I did that job, because, oh my God, I made the most money ever. The hours were fabulous. And I learned a lot, and I got to meet how the court process was, because I'd always worked in law firms and I knew what it was like, from that side. So it was great to see how I got to meet all the Supreme Court judges, hang out in their chambers. They would talk to me about court cases. It was so great to see that. But if I had let that go and stuck with the decision I had made and turned down that job, believing that I couldn't reverse that decision, and all the memories, I mean, so, decisions can be changed. I tracked them down. I reversed my decision. So, and it was great. Cool. It was temporary, but it ended up going longer than it was supposed to. But, and from that, I got my next job. A lawyer in the courthouse approached me and, I heard you're really good. I would like to offer you this job. I mean, I was able to ask for what I wanted. So you can reverse a decision. Like you just, just do whatever you have to. You may not be able to reverse it, but you got to try, right? It just shows that you can
Absolutely.
do it. Yeah.
Absolutely. And again, I want to just say hi real quick to Rihan and thank you again for sharing. And if you would please share this out, that would be amazing because you would be helping us immensely. And you would also be helping that one person that probably needs this just as bad as we do.
Yeah.
Anyhow,
Yeah.
so the last question that we need to ask ourselves, or we don't need to, but we should ask ourselves is, can I test this decision? And testing you can test any decision really. I mean, especially when it comes to career fields. One of the ways that I test out different things is I start learning everything I can about what it is that I'm going to do, and then I just go out and try it, whether it be in my backyard or, for example, when I decided that that I would stay with the company and I would move over to the service manager position. I tested it out. I tested the waters. I went out. I worked in one of the homes. We did some drywall. Was it something that I liked? Sure, it was. So I decided that I was going to stay with it. Just because you start something, and it goes right with, can I reverse or undo this decision? Just because you start something doesn't mean you don't say, hey, look, I'll try this out. If I like it, we'll talk. If I don't like it, we'll figure something else out. There's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with that conversation,
Yeah.
but that conversation takes courage. It really does.
Yeah, it definitely does. And it's for people who want to, start their own business, but they have a job. Well, you kind of do it on the side, you try it out, and, don't quit your job flat out, because
Right.
what if you think what you want to do is going to be great, but it sucks and you hate it, and you wonder why you ever thought that would be cool. But you can try a lot of things out, or it's like living with somebody before you get married, right? Like there's a lot of things that you can test out, and maybe you could go work for a week with somebody that has a business and what you'd like to do, and try it out, see if you like it.
Podcasting is a really good example of this, and live streaming as well.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know if it's something that they might think that they want to do it. They might be excited about their journey and they want to tell that story and all that kind of good stuff. But once they kind of get into it, maybe it's not something that they're going to stick with. Maybe it wasn't quite what they thought it was going to be. And it's real easy to test these things out, especially with live streaming, because it's really free. Anybody can do it. All you need is your cell phone. You hit that go live button and you're live. So
Yeah.
it's really easy to test out. And I know, just as well as you do, how all the people that we talk to on a regular basis, it might be 2 or 3 a week, maybe 2 or 3 a day. But I know I get a lot of people asking me about live streaming and podcasting, and the first thing I tell them is, well, try it out.
Yeah.
Hit that go live button.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, try it out. I mean, there's some things that, and I think there's some things that you have to try, because you may not like it. And again, to bring it back to podcasting, a lot of people will go gung ho. They'll buy an expensive mic and expensive equipment, and they figure they're going to do this. They figure they're going to like it, and they jump in, and then they decide, they've done it for a while, and they go, you know what? I don't really enjoy it that much. I don't want to talk that much. I'm finding it too much pressure. And then, they pod fade, and that's it. They've spent hundreds on this equipment, and they, hired people to do this and that, and, do fancy graphics and all that stuff. And, just try it out. Like CJ said, like, just hit that damn button and try it out. And because people can be really forgiving when you're trying things out. People don't expect you to be perfect off the bat, and try it out and see what it's like. Got to try it.
So I've got a list because sometimes I
Yeah.
kind of throw stuff at you surprisingly,
Yes, you do.
and I did create this. I didn't create this list. I borrowed this list from the military decision making process as well as Oprah.com because everybody loves Oprah, and I kind of
Even
combined the
CJ.
two. Oh yeah, yeah, So here's another list. These questions are extremely important because they will help you in a real quick way. It's 5 questions. Knock them out, no problem. But here's the long form of the decision making process. Step number 1, identify your goal. You got to identify what your goal is. Step number 2 is eliminate choice by setting standards. So for example, if my goal is to learn how to fly UAVs and use that and get my license, Part 107 FAA license to fly UAVs commercially, now I have to eliminate choices and set standards. What course do I want to take to learn how to do this? What drone I want to buy so I can learn how to do this? All this kind of stuff. Number 3 is don't worry
I
about
just
finding
thought
the
of a
best.
I thought of a
Go
funny
ahead.
example when you were talking about that.
Oh, awesome.
As soon
Send
as you
it.
said that about setting standards, the first thing that popped into my head was, I want to be a dancer, so either I could get a job at that strip club or I can so set your standards. I don't know
Wow, that's
why, but
funny.
that's what popped into my head.
That is funny. What standards do you have? Is the pole the highest standard that you have? Because if that is, wow,
If that's
you've got a lot of room.
if that's where
To,
you want to go, to the
yeah,
pole.
but I don't have any problems with that. For some reason I have no
You're all good
problems
with
with that. Right, I am
that.
all good with that. So,
Good with the pole.
so number 3, don't worry about finding the best. Well, again, we're back to the pole. You don't have to get into Juilliard to be the best dancer. You can rock it out on the small stage.
That's right. There you
Why
go.
not?
That's right.
Entertain people like, well, me. Anyways, I tip well. Anyhow, so going on to
There you
number
go.
4, be aware be aware of biases. And that goes back to what we were talking about, asking your
Back
friends
to the
whether
pole.
or not back to the poll, yeah. Asking your friends, hey, what do you think? Should I be a dancer? I can shake my little tushy and I can make me some money.
Oh my God,
Yeah, be
that's
aware
funny.
of biases, make your own decision based on what helps you grow, what
Yeah.
what memories you want to keep. You know, go like I said, go through these questions. They will all help you out, especially when it comes to getting on the poll. Um, so number 5 is try not to rush. Yeah, you know what? I'm being unfair. I shouldn't do it like that, because here's the thing. Just as many women are out there entertaining men, there's just as many men out there entertaining women. We all know the Chippendales. We all know that Australian troop of guys that come flashing their poles around.
Yep.
Yeah,
And women
it's.
are way worse than men ever are
I've
in a
heard
club.
that. I
Oh my
refuse.
God.
I refuse to go into one of those clubs, even to pick up my wife, just because I'm afraid of what I might see. Not on the
Oh,
guys. That doesn't bother me. I can go into a locker room at the 24-hour fitness, see the old dudes hanging out, talking to each other, butt ass naked. That don't bother me. It's the it's the way the women are.
they
Y'all
they
are freaking
lose.
animals.
Yes. Yes. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. I haven't been for years, but oh my God, I sit and look at the women because I cannot believe how it's like they lose their minds. I guess because the rest of the time we have like so much responsibility. It goes out the freaking window when they're at a club. I mean, what I see these women do to these guys,
Oof.
oof, oof.
You know, and the reason why I brought that up is so I could kind of segue into number 6. Don't sweat the small stuff.
I don't,
You know,
I don't even remember what number 5 was.
don't rush.
Oh
Try not to
yeah,
rush. Yeah, but
pick a slow song.
pick a slow song. Yeah, and
So
yeah,
what
like
was
I
6
said,
again? Don't
number
sweat the
6 is
small
don't
stuff.
sweat the small stuff. So, there's details. There's all these details, and it's exactly like you were saying earlier, when you were talking about the how.
Yeah,
Don't worry about how it's going to happen. Concentrate on why you want it and why it's a need. Why what is it going to do
yeah,
for you to make you feel better about whatever it is that you're doing or whatever. Don't worry about the how. For example, if you want to start a podcast, don't worry about the technical stuff. Just work on creating your message. Work on finding out who you need to talk to in order for them to help you figure out the how. That's really what
yeah,
it's about. Because
yeah.
just because you make a decision doesn't mean you have to follow that plan by yourself. You can make a decision to start something, and then you can find the people around you to be able to help you and put you in the best position to be able to figure out that how. So
Well, when you
don't.
get going and you start doing that, that's where the how comes along, because there could be things that you've never even thought possible, and then you make the decision you're going to do it, but you're not sure. So you talk to people, and they go, "I know the perfect person for you," and then you're like, "Oh my God, I like they've got exactly what I need." So that's why don't worry about the how. Don't worry about what is it that you want and why do you want it. And the other flip side is, and if you don't do it, how are you going to feel?
Exactly. Are you going to feel like you missed out? Hey Rich, how you
Yeah.
doing, buddy?
Hey.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
there's
Can you be okay?
I've
Can you live with it if you don't do it? Like, look at both sides, right? Like, why do you want to do
mhm.
it? And if you don't, is it going to haunt you for the rest of your life? Are you going to keep thinking about it, and then you're going to get to the end of your life and you're like, well, shit, damn, I should have just did it. I should have just did it.
Yeah. I still kick myself in the backside all the time. 4 years ago, my wife and I were in a position where we had the money. We wouldn't have had to take any loans out whatsoever. But we were in the position where we could have started a food business, a food truck. My
Oh,
wife has been a consultant in the food industry. She has managed restaurants. She has saved restaurants. And when I say saved, I mean this was closing next week, and then she turned it into their number one producer. This is what she did. This was her entire job, was to save dead restaurants.
well,
And
shit.
we had the opportunity to start a restaurant and a food truck, but I made the decision that instead of starting a food truck, I was going to start a vent cleaning business, an air duct cleaning business, because at the time there there was a lot of things going around in the news about houses burning down because of fires, dryer vent fires. There's a lot of spike in allergies in our area because of poor air quality from HVAC
Yeah.
systems. So I'm thinking, I'm going to jump on this trend and I'm going to create a business around that. So we spent the money doing that. Unfortunately, the one thing that didn't occur to me is that these services are called vanity services. And when it comes to vanity services, when people don't have the money because of a down economy, they're not going to buy these vanity services. They're either going to,
Yeah.
one, figure out how to do it themselves, or two,
Yeah.
they're just going to, well, out of sight, out of mind. I don't care. It's not going to happen to me.
Yeah.
So, needless to say, I still do that business, but I think in 4 years, I think I'm now just covering my costs. after 4 years. However, in a food service business, like everybody eats, it would have made more sense. I have one of the best people available to me to teach me everything that I need to do. And I've been in this food service business myself. So it's not like I was a complete idiot on how this stuff works.
Yeah.
So I had the best education that I right there in my house, right? I mean, the best consultant available to me to help me start this business, and I made the wrong decision.
Oh, was she
So I
pissed?
kick myself for that because, you know, I was going after what I perceived to be the bigger prize. Oops. Um, and it's one of those things. You don't want to go back and second guess whether or not you made the right decision.
Yeah. Was she pissed?
Oh yeah, she still throws it in my face all the time. She goes, we could probably have bought this house twice over by now if we would have started the food truck. And here's the
Oh,
crazy thing. Here's the crazy thing. I live in an area where we have one of the biggest fairs in our area, and we have the Sturgis Motorcycle Rally in our
I was
area.
just gonna say
Two
Sturgis.
of the biggest events in this whole northern area for being able to set up a food truck and make a lot of money during that weekend. And not only that, the food truck business moved into our community, and it is like the hottest thing. People will stand in lines for hours waiting on certain food trucks because they would
Yeah,
rather get food from the food truck than they would from one of the
yeah.
hundred and some odd fast food restaurants here in town.
Oh,
That's a great point, Rich. That is a great point because we can't change our minds. We can reverse a decision. And who knows? Maybe I take the money that I've earned through the construction and all that kind of stuff and I start a food truck. Who knows?
yeah,
Maybe I
yeah,
maybe I still go do that
yeah.
and get my wife to stop giving me shit about not starting it 4 years ago.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's the thing, right? There would have to be another way to go about doing it, right? It would be a different how, but if both of you were like, okay, we're
Yep.
going to do it, we're going to put it out there and, you know, grits and
But
grace.
we can't sweat the small stuff. We got to
That's
just
right.
make a decision. So I got
Yeah.
one last tip, and it kind of goes along with the last question. Can I test this decision? And it's do a post game analysis. Um, and that's huge. I mean, every time. So what I do every day when I'm done doing something with my business or even with my job, I do what's called an after action report. I learned how to do this in the military. That's one of the things we always did when we finished everything up. So how that works out is I ask myself, what happened today? What did I do today? And then I list that out. And then the second question is, what was supposed to happen today? And then I list that out. Hopefully those two things align, but they don't always align. So
No.
then I go on and I go to the next step. What what went well? And then the next one is what didn't go so well. And then the final thing is what can I do to improve on the things that didn't go so well, and what can I do to sustain the things that did go well? So that is my after action report that I literally do every single day before I leave work. I fill that out, or if I finish up a job or if I bid a job for a customer, I will do that after action report on every job that I do. And it gives me something that I can go back and look at and track and keep myself accountable for the decisions I actually do make.
Yeah. You talked about this a long time ago. I remember
Mhm.
what's it called again?
It's called an after action review.
After action review. Yes, and I think we were supposed to provide that as a resource on our website, and we never did because I was just
We
quickly
did?
looking through our resources page.
Well, then I will upload that to you tonight when we get done because
Yes.
I have a special sheet that I created to make it more civilianized.
Civilianized.
Yeah,
Awesome.
because it is what it is.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, we'll do that and we'll put that on our resource page and go and check out our resource page. If we have something, if we have a PDF download or something that we think that goes well, go check it out. We've got way back that started the whole show, the grit test. Find out how much grit you've got. It really gives you an idea of uh, your ability to persevere through difficult times.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely can be modified to work with anything. Anytime you do any task, it could be something as simple as weeding your garden. You could do an AAR for it, so it can literally be used for anything.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, get that to me and we'll put that up.
Absolutely, and
Yeah.
I want to really quick before we get too far into this. I know we're running out of time, and I'm horrible at this sometimes.
Holy crap.
I know
Yeah.
we just completely blew through an hour, but I really want to say this because we absolutely mean it. Every time we come out here, we do this for you. I mean, without you, this couldn't happen. Grit and Grace wouldn't exist. So we want to just say thank you to each and every one of you who watch the show, who share the show, who listen to the show on Mile High Radio each Monday night. So if you're not done listening to us, if you want to hear more of what we do and hear more about what's going on, go over to that Google Play Store or whatever iOS app, whatever it is. Download the Mile High Radio app. And if you don't want to download the app, just go to milehighradio.com and you can listen to the show tonight at 10 o'clock Mountain. That's 12 o'clock on the East Coast.
It's like
And
in 1 minute.
it's
In
in
one
1 minute.
minute you can
Yeah,
catch
we are
us.
going to be starting. So we're going to finish here. Go on over to Mile High
Oh,
Radio
yeah.
and check that out. How do you like how I did that one? Ha.
That
So
was
pretty slick,
that
huh?
was good. Yeah,
All
yeah,
right.
definitely. Thank you so much for sharing and commenting and leaving reviews on our Facebook page and yeah, and let people know. And we're always open to other topics. Uh, Always open. And the big thing too, on Fridays we do free for all Fridays, so we talk about whatever. It's casual. We hang out. This is when we also answer viewer questions. So if you have something, a decision you're struggling with, or you have a fun question, or whatever the case may be, you can ask it anonymously on our website as well. Go check out and see what we have on our website. You can find all the different ways to listen to us, watch us, ask a question, suggest a topic, and you can do that on our website at gritandgracetv.com. So
All right,
yeah, that was
and to finish this up, I want to say thank you especially to our all-star interactors tonight. These people shared the show, they watched the show, they loved the show, and that's Ashley Sanders. Thank you very much. Richie Snow, Justin. I have no idea how to say your last name. I am so sorry. Thank you very much. Ada Ula, thank you very much. Sadie Jean, thank you very much. You are an all-star. And Rihan Alawala, thank you. Thank you for being our all-star interactors tonight. So with that, thank you very much, everybody. Remember what I said earlier up here in the description. Just check it out. Go left, go right. It doesn't matter. Just make a decision. See you next time.